Hi there, welcome back to the weekly edit. And my name is Antoinette, if you don't know by now, and I am a parent focused life coach for those of you who have autistic children. All right, so today I want to talk about hidden potential. Now, I just want to give you a little bit of a definition of what potential means. It means the ability, the capacity, or the possibility for something to develop and grow or become more in the future. Potential is that part of you that already exists beneath the surface, just waiting to be developed and strengthened and expressed. So your potential is not something that you either have or don't have. It's not this magical gift that some people were born with and the rest of us missed out because we were too busy with our kiddos and wondering why everyone else seems to have their lives all together. So potential is built, it's developed, it's revealed over time. And very often it's revealed in the exact places where we feel uncomfortable or most unsure or most tempted to quit. So we think that success comes from natural talent. We think that people who achieve big things must have started way ahead of us, that they must be more gifted, that they have these great personalities, or they have perfect support, or confidence, or perfect life circumstances. And when we believe that, we look at our own lives and think, there is no way. I am not the kind of person to do this. I'm not naturally good at it. I don't have the capacity. I missed my chance, perhaps. And I want you to hear me today. That is not true. It is just a thought in your head. And it can be a very expensive thought because when you believe that your future is limited by your starting point, you stop participating in becoming who you can be. You stop experimenting and trying new things, or even willing to be bad at something long enough to get better at it. And that is where so much potential gets buried. Your potential has always been there, but we decided that the discomfort means that we're not capable. And this is true for so many parents of autistic children because many of us live inside our circumstances. We all know what I'm talking about, and it requires a level of strength and flexibility and emotional bandwidth and patience and creativity and resilience that most people will never fully understand. And yet, because our lives feel so hard, we may interpret it as proof that it's not for us. Because if we don't have more potential, if we did have more potential, this would feel easier. But what if the hard part is not proof that it's not for us? What if the hard part is the place where your hidden potential is being developed? So, not in a glamorous Instagram kind of way, but like in a real way, in the messy mornings, in the daily routines, in the moment where your kiddo's dysregulated, then you get dysregulated, and you still decide to take a breath before you react or do whatever. And in the moment when you want to dissolve into self-pity, but you ask yourself instead, okay, let's not do this. What is the next step? It's in that moment when you realize you can do everything that you need to do for your child and have a big life and have more in your life. That is potential. The real version, the one that you earn, the version that is built in the ordinary moments that nobody sees. So I want you to think about the idea that character skills often matter more than raw talent. Things like discipline, curiosity, humility, resilience, the ability to ask for help, the willingness to learn, to keep learning. Those aren't personality traits. They're not there for the special few people. They are skills, which means they can be practiced. And this is good news. This is what I teach. I teach you the skills. You don't need to wait until you feel ready. You don't need to wait until life is easier. You don't need to wait until your child is more settled. You don't need to wait until the school sorts itself out, or your marriage feels better, or your partner feels better, or your house is more organized, or your nervous system sends you a message to say, congratulations, now you can start your life. No, you begin where you are. You build from here, right here. So it's not about pretending that things are easy. It's about taking the reality of your life and refusing to make it mean that your life is over. It's about refusing to hand your future over to your circumstances. Because a lot of us do that, often accidentally. We say, well, because my child has autism, I can't. I can't do this, I can't do that. Because I'm tired, I can't do this, I can't do that. Because I feel overwhelmed, I can't do this. Because I don't have support, I can't do this. Because I've tried that before, I can't do it again. And your circumstances matter. Absolutely, they do. Support matters. The systems that you put in place matter. Rest matters. Resources matter. We're not pretending that we can mindset our way through everything. But your circumstances are not the full story. They are just the start. They're the starting conditions. And when you see them as a starting point, you start asking better questions. And you know me, I'm all about asking good questions. So instead of asking, why is this happening to me? Rather, who am I becoming inside of this? Not why is this so hard, but what skill is this requiring of me today? Oh, excuse me. So, not how do I make my life look like everyone else, but rather what kind of life do I want? What do I want to build here? And that is where the hidden potential starts to emerge in the better questions, in the willingness, in the decisions to keep going, even though life is crazy and complicated. Okay, now another powerful idea is that growth often feels messy before it looks like success or before it looks impressive. And I think this is where a lot of people quit. They try something new and it feels awkward, or they set a boundary and it kind of doesn't quite work the way they hoped, or they try to regulate their nervous system and they still lose their shit. They start making time for themselves, and then that guilt comes, slams you in the face. They try to maybe sell an offer or build their business or ask for help, or maybe they speak up or change things, and immediately the brain goes, this is not working. But what if it is actually working? What if that messy part is part of the process? What if being awkward is not a sign that you're doing something wrong or that you way off base? What if it's a sign that you are in the stages, the early stages of becoming? This is where I think we need to stop making discomfort so dramatic. Discomfort does not mean danger. It doesn't mean stop. It doesn't mean that you are not meant for this. And believe me, discomfort won't kill you. Sometimes it just means this is new. I'm figuring it out. It means your brain doesn't have that worn neural pathway yet. It just means that you're practicing a different identity. It means you're no longer on autopilot. And that's going to feel uncomfortable. So if you have spent years being the parent who handles everything, who does everything, who puts yourself last, and then you become the parent who has needs and desires and boundaries and goals, of course, in the beginning, it's going to feel very strange. It's going to feel very unfamiliar. And unfamiliar is not the same as impossible. I want to say this again. I want you to even write it down. Unfamiliar is not impossible. Unfamiliar is just unfamiliar. So the question is, am I willing to practice? Am I willing to be a beginner? Am I willing to fail without making it mean that I'm a failure? Am I willing to receive feedback? Am I willing to stop protecting my ego at the expense of my growth? Am I willing to become the person who can hold more? Because that is what potential asks of us. Not to be perfect, just to keep showing up, to stop using discomfort as running out the door. And the funny thing is, as adults, we don't learn as much as children do. So babies are constantly trying to walk and falling over and carrying on and doing. They don't worry about feeling embarrassed or humiliated. But us as adults, we don't. We always want to try something and be perfect at it. But we need to be willing to fail, to feel embarrassed, to feel humiliation. That's the way we grow. Now, I also want to talk about worthiness because this is where a lot of people get tangled. We confuse potential with worth. We think that if we are more successful, then we are going to be more worthy. If we're more calmer, we're going to be more worthy. If we become a better parent or wife or husband or coach or better person, then we are going to feel enough. But your worth is not on the table here. It doesn't even come into practice because you are not here to earn your value. You are here to express your life, to live it. Now, these are very different things. If you already know your worth is intact, then growth just becomes fun and it becomes an adventure. It becomes, I wonder what I'm capable of. Your potential is not about proving yourself to the world. It's about discovering what's inside of you and letting that out in the world. Your ideas, your gifts, your leadership, your capacity, your voice, your way of parenting, your way of loving, your way of creating something meaningful from this exact life that you have. And it may look very different to anybody else's. And then that brings me to the next point. Potential is unique. You cannot look around and borrow somebody else's life. You can't decide because another parent is doing it one way that you should be doing it the same way. You can't measure your hidden potential against somebody else's. Again, absolutely borrow the inspiration. Borrow what gives you ideas and make them your own. They need to work for you. Try them on. If they don't work, put them away, but try on things that work for you. Your potential is not going to look like mine or your sisters or your brothers or your uncle or your neighbors. Your potential is connected to your life and your desires and your strengths and your values and your child, your family, and the kind of life that you actually want. Ask what you want. It will be created by your decisions, by having honest reflection, by willingness to stop arguing with reality and start working with it. Now, another thing is that people don't rise just because of grit, just because they have that willpower. They rise in environments that help them grow. They rise with teachers and mentors and coaches and opportunities and people who can see what is possible for them before they can see it for themselves. So this is why I am here, because sometimes you are so immersed in your circumstances and the things that are happening, you can't see the wood for the trees. And that's why I'm here. This is what I help you with. So this is important because a lot of parents also think they should be doing it alone, that needing help means that they're weak. And it doesn't. Needing help means that you are human and you're just trying to unlock your potential. And it's like doing it if you do it without support, it's like trying to build a house with your bare hands and then judging yourself because it takes so long. But you need the tools, you need the structure, you need the perspectives, you need spaces where you're not only seen as the person who's the caregiver, but the person who has a future, the person who has desires and the capacity to want to strengthen that. Your life matters, not you after the whole autism thing, or not after everything calms down, or not when a difficult season ends. Now, inside this messy life, inside the reality that you are living. So the question again today is, what am I doing with my potential? Am I hiding it because I'm afraid to fail? Am I dismissing it because I started too late? I feel like I started too late. Am I burying it because you are so busy with everybody else? And then ask yourself, what is one small way that I can practice becoming that next version of me? Just one small way. Maybe it's having an honest conversation, or maybe putting a boundary in place, or making a hard decision, or actually just asking for help. That is how potential is built. So let this be the edit for the week. You are not limited to where you start. You are simply being invited to stop hiding from your own growth. And that is becoming. And also, this is where life gets seriously interesting. All right, my friends, that's what I have for you today. I will see you next week. Bye now.